So hi everyone, welcome to this segment of Event TV. Today we're going to be chatting with Velvet Calligraphy and we're going to be talking about incorporating calligraphy art into your event. So stay tuned. So hi everyone, I'm here with Viktoriya from Velvet Calligraphy and I'm really excited because today we're going to talk about calligraphy art, which is a growing popular trend in events. So tell me a little bit about Velvet Calligraphy.
Velvet Calligraphy, it's a boutique that is providing services for calligraphy for different events, weddings as well, and also I can do custom-made signs or decorations for your home.
And so how did you get into the art of calligraphy?
And this summer I was looking for a new hobby for myself as I run out of my usual hobbies, and my friend said that her relative is studying calligraphy. She took a course and she's doing it for her own wedding. So I just looked into it and I decided to take a course at the beginning. Course was very interesting. When I finished, I realized that I can actually do calligraphy. First, it was like a hobby. I was doing different things just for my friends. And then when people start asking me like the actual orders, I decided to create the actual business, and it started rolling.
So tell me about some of your services and the type of calligraphy that you offer for events.
So for events, I'm offering signs, as I said. So let's say when you enter just the venue, you want to see what kind of event it is. So you can say, a birthday of this person, or welcome to our happy ever together and stuff like that. Or I offer also a place card, so they just placed on your plate, so you know where you're sitting, or mirror charts where you can find where you're located in a venue.
So I would imagine calligraphy is really popular with weddings, and you were mentioning to me that you can sort of do everything from start to finish. Tell me a little bit about that.
So let's say when a bride, usually they have everything ahead of time. But then at the end, they start thinking, oh, I didn't even send invitations. When you start researching for invitations, they're pretty much all the same. And that's when brides, well, right now, they're noticing this uniqueness of handwritten invitations. And not everybody have a nice writing. So that's when they approach people like me, calligraphers, and pretty much they research for something they already have in mind, like a style or color of the paper, and I just put it together. I will do a custom design for you, or I can try to kind of mimic what you want, but it's not fun, and usually we end up actually customizing completely something new. And so I will make an invitation for you, like a save the day card, reply card, and I can package it for you and even send it out. So I will write the envelopes. And later on, if you have already a list of your guests, they will ask me for place cards, for seating charts, and right now very popular are mirror seating charts, just because people can stay right next to it and take photos with it. So they like it very much. And it's unique, and not everybody can actually do that.
Mm-hmm, for sure, absolutely. So when you're doing invitations, do you handwrite all of the invitations?
I try not to, just because all the similar text, it becomes boring to write, first of all, for me, and even it's not even necessary that much. The best will be to cut like a pre-made text, and then you just write the names. So I'm inviting Amanda and Steven to our wedding, and then you will write, and the rest will be just a printed text, and it will pop out those names, and it will feel very special and unique for those people that received it.
So that's a good idea. So it's kind of a combination of incorporating some printed text with some custom text, some custom handwritten, which you don't see every day now, right?
Correct, yes. And also it saves a lot of time and it saves money as well. Just because to write every single line, it takes, again, time, and it will cost a little bit more, handmade.
Mm-hmm. So how does it work in terms of your pricing? Do you charge per word, per letter, by the hour?
If it's a piece, let's say it will be a chalkboard, I charge for the piece. Okay. Doesn't matter how much it will be written on it. I mostly charge big ones, small, medium size. Then for place cards, I will charge for each of them. And it doesn't matter if it's a long names, short names, they will all cost the same. But for invitations and envelopes, we charge per line. Just because you actually have to lay it down. You have to lay out all the text, like to figure out in your head, and then draw the lines if you have it perfectly lined up. And it takes time. That's why we charge per line.
Are there any kind of tricks to the trade that you can let us know about?
I think to start with calligraphy, at the beginning, you have to buy good tools. Good supplies makes a huge difference because a lot of people, they'll just go to the store and see those calligraphy kits, and they will buy them, but they don't work as well, as good, and you're just wasting your time pretty much. So I would recommend to take in a course or researching for very good tools. And then the best part is actually to have just a blank paper at the beginning. Lay it down, write it down first, and then you just pretty much you copying the same thing on more expensive paper and with actual tools. I think that's not really a trick, but that's the way to go.
So Viktoriya is going to walk us through some name cards, and we're going to get to see some of her beautiful work. So tell us about the tools that you have in front of us.
So I'm using here just the watercolor paper, and the trick is to buy the heavier possible it is. So I'm using 140 pounds paper, and it's a very thick paper that you can rip, you can cut, and it will not bend very easily. And you can write with watercolor paint. I'm using a dip pen, and the nib that I'm using, it's a Nico G. I found it's the best for the beginner, but I'm still using it every day. I got few more, and that's the best one to use. For the holder, it doesn't really matter what you use. It can be the cheapest one possible, and it will work as well as the most expensive one, because it's just something to hold your nib, and a nib plays the most important role in it. I'm also using sometimes the oblique one. It's just it's easier to write if you don't want very drama on your writing, so you want it light and more flowing. The inks that I'm using, my most favorite one is Winsor and Newton. They come in every possible color, and you just mix it with the water, you dilute it, and you have ink like that. And this lasts me forever. Like, I've been using it for so many projects already, and I have it and have it. Another one that I'm in love with, it's a bleed-proof, it's Dr. Martens. I only bought white color. Maybe they have different colors, but white one works perfectly. And you can write on black paper. This actually written with that ink, although it's with brush, but I use the ink. And I use it to mix with paints, just because it pops out much better, and for some reason it stays better on paper.
So Viktoriya, you're going to show us how to do a name card and from the start, right? So
correct, yes. So what I did here, I used this paper, and I pre-cut the size that I wanted. But it has to be a little bit bigger size that you're aiming for, because what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to rip the ends to give this rustic look and more organic look. Let's say you want on like a wooden wedding. It doesn't really matter. It just shows more like a handmade product, I would say. So what I'm going to do, I'm using the rough side, and I'm using my brush, and the water, and I'm going to lightly water all the edges. And what I'm aiming for this look. So you can rip as much as you want. You can rip really lightly, but it's just gonna take more work from you. Or you can just go back and forward into different directions to make more layers, and it will look much nicer. And if you water it, what it helps, it actually makes it easier to rip it. Because you can do it even without water, but it just takes, it's more harder for your hand. And I'm just going back and forth. I don't really care to make it perfect, because I'm looking for uneven, imperfect look. And I'm gonna mix the colors. So you can make edges in every possible color that you actually have. Let's say your wedding has red theme, and you can make your cards red. But instead of making them all red, you can just make edges red. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna mix a red color with this ink. And
so that's the white ink.
White ink
that you bought. Okay.
And you don't need much of it to make. But if you're actually making 100 cards, pre-make the color for yourself, just so you don't have to make it over and over again. So I'm gonna take this much of the ink, and I'm gonna add just a little bit of red. I'm just gonna take a card, and first, just because I'm using exactly the same color, I don't really care if my water already got that color on it. And I'm gonna go around and put a little bit water everywhere. This is just so your color actually flows a little bit farther onto the paper. So what I'm gonna do next, I'm just adding to that part which I ripped. I'm not adding any farther, and if I want it to flow farther, I'll just add a little bit of water. And I will go all around with this color. So when it's dry, you can start working with it. What I did, I already pre-diluted my ink with consistency that I was looking for. And I'll be honest with you, there is never a right amount, especially for this ink. That's why when you're just a beginner, you can buy pre-mixed inks. And so what I'm doing, I'm just putting a little bit on the end, and I'm gonna write Maria name.
Beautiful. That's gorgeous. And so do you have a particular cursive or font in which you write in?
You would just place it here. When I took a course, they taught me the copper plate. It's generally the beginning of every calligraphy. It's the one that we learned when we were kids at school, when we were taking calligraphy classes. I don't know how they called it, but that's a copper plate. It's a very nice and very even letters. On a downstroke, you make a lot of drama, and an upstroke, it's very thin and nice. And it's easier for the beginner to learn.
Let's say you had 100 guests at the wedding. How long would you generally want in advance to be able to do that, ideally?
I would say 2 weeks at least. But if you're very busy with other projects, that's what, like I had once an amazing order. This bride, she had such a great idea to the colors, to the theme, to everything. And she wanted everything by Saturday, and it was Monday. It was just impossible for me to make because I was working on something else. But in general, even a week is enough. It all depends. It takes a couple of hours each evening, because I usually work on evenings because I have a full-time job as well. But you can manage to do it in a week. One order for sure.
Okay, great. And so tell us how to find you. If someone's interested in booking your services for an event, how do they find you?
The easiest would be on Instagram, which is just the Velvet Calligraphy, or on Facebook, also Velvet Calligraphy. And my email is also velvetcalligraphy@gmail.com. So I've decided not to go into any other abbreviations or something, just a simple name of the company.
Great, wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing this with us. It was such a pleasure and beautiful work. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.